Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for logging in, spending your morning with us, your afternoon with us, your break. Um, Thanks for joining. We're actually going to kick off in a minute or two. So we're going to give people time to make sure that they're logging in correctly and showing up to the webinar. I'm not always the most punctual, so I like to always help those people out, give them a minute or two to log in. So as we are waiting, feel free to, in the chat, type in where you're logging from. Are you West Coast? Are you in California? Are you in Miami? Are you East Coast? Are you abroad? Let us know where you're logging in from. We would love to know who is joining. And it will also help you find the chat as well. All right, let's give it for anyone that is joining. We are giving everyone 1 or 2 minutes to make sure they're logged in and are joining to the webinar. So we will kick off in the next 60 seconds. I know we have a lot to cover, so we'll give everyone just 1 more minute to join us for this webinar.
Marissa, there's already a question.
Oh, okay.
So the question is, will it be recorded to watch again later?
Yes, absolutely. We are recording this, so after the webinar, we'll make sure to send this to everyone that's attended and even those that were not able to make it as well. So yes, this is being recorded. Thanks, Emery. Okay, perfect. I think we are 2 minutes in, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today in this webinar. So the theme today is how to get your lighting catalog ready for AI. So today we are going to look at a very practical question specifically for lighting manufacturers and distributors. How do you prepare complex product data so AI can actually help your business? So lighting catalogs are not simple. You guys know this. They include technical specifications, images, photometrics, dimensions, compliance information, product families, accessories. You get the point. So because of that complexity, AI cannot simply be switched on successfully unless the underlying catalog data is structured, governed, and ready to be AI optimized. So in this session, we will show how BK Lighting boosted product data management speed by 10 and how structured product information creates the foundation for AI-driven automation. So before we begin, quick housekeeping. I know someone had asked this at the very beginning. Yes, this webinar is being recorded. We will send it at the end. Feel free to use the Q&A box because we will save time at the end to answer questions. And also stay until the end of the call and you will get the opportunity to scan the QR code and set up a meeting with our team so that we can give you a custom demo, a proof of concept, and let you test our AI agents. All right, so today our speakers include Colin Huff, Senior Marketing Manager at BK Lighting, Emery Gunez, PIM Consultant at Augustos Technology, and myself, Marissa Back, Account Executive here at SalesLayer. So with this team, you are getting real answers from businesses in your industry, expertise of implementing a PIM tool, and data management from the perspective of a PIM enhanced with AI. So this is what we're going to cover. We'll start talking about why lighting data is so complex and why that creates operational challenges for manufacturers and distributors. Second, we will look at how BK Lighting moved from data chaos to structured product data, which is now ready for AI. And third, we will show you agentic AI in action and show you how you can unlock new efficiencies in your lighting catalog management. Okay, Emery, I'm going to kick it off to you and Colin.
Thanks, Marissa, for the hosting this webinar and introduction. So I've spent the last 10 years working with lighting manufacturers on their product data. They all describe it the same way, a mess they don't know what to do with. I mean, if that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. This webinar is for you. I'm Emre Güneş. I led the PIM implementation practice at Agustos Technology. I will just spend a couple of minutes underlining the same fact that Marisa shared before, why lighting data is so complex. There are several reasons. There are several arguments that I can share. The first one is obviously there are too many data points. Each SKU, each product has like distribution, CCT, CRI, IP rating, photometric data, certifications, and each data point has to be the same everywhere you publish. That's one of the first reasons. The second reason, there is too many files to deal with, same for the same SKU, spec sheets, photometric data, BIM files, 3D models, and especially some of those files you need to manufacture them, like prepare them manually. Well, it will break faster than ever. Then you have too many data points, too many files. You might have, and it's often the case, a multi-version. That means same product has an international version and the US version simply because of the different voltage requirements. 220 volts in international, North America 120 volt or 277. And the data behind each version is kind of different on its own way, similar but different. Then you have the fourth argument, which is the multi-language. Often, obviously, manufacturers want to share their technical data in the specific languages. It might go from 4 to 9. I have a client which goes around 13 languages for all of their data. It depends on your strategy, international approach. Then you have the fifth argument, which is in lighting industry, components are often changed regularly and quickly. A light source or a driver can be replaced quickly, and that change in the component will reflect nearly a lot of the files that you need to re-prepare, re-manufacture, or work on it. And lastly, there are changing requirements. We had April recently in European Union. Now European Union is coming up with the digital product passport, which will be another requirement for the manufacturers. So if you need to handle your product data and change it or add new information for each new compliance moves, well, it makes really the lighting data complex. Of course, maybe none of these are unique on their own, but all 6 compounds and past a certain scale, I'm talking about number of products. I mean, obviously, no team can keep up by hand, manually. You have to have some sort of an automation. So what is this solution? It will come from me, and you won't be surprised. But this is really about PIM in place, product information management. Simply, a PIM is a centralized database for your product data. You import what you have, you enrich and structure in one place, and then you export it everywhere it needs to go. It's like an automation engine, specifically done for your product data flow. And what comes out of it is not only a cleaner data, but it's structured data, which is kind of the foundation that you need if you want AI to work for you. And now that part matters more than ever now, and that's why we are doing this webinar as well. Marisa will give us some AI features that says they are offering on their platform now. Of course, choosing the software or the idea or what you want to do is clear, but the implementation is another story. So for the next 20 minutes, I rather have you hear about someone who is in your shoes and who went through it, who lived the whole PIM implementation process. Colin Huff at BK Lighting in Fresno, California. They built the foundation. The data is structured now. The team works differently. The catalog is ready. What comes next? But it didn't happen in one day, and it didn't happen easily. So we will have the backstories of that implementation process. I led the PIM implementation alongside with Colin and the internal team. Colin led the work on the BK side. He pushed it internally, organized the team around it, made the calls that mattered. Well, he's going to tell you the real version, not a polished one, but the real one. What worked, what was hard, what he do differently. Colin, welcome. Let's go over your implementation process. We started working together, I think, 3 years ago, right? So take us back before PIM. How was your team working, and obviously what was breaking?
Yeah, I guess first off, thank you for the opportunity to share my PIM testimony with you guys. So yeah, you will get the raw, unedited story of how this rolled out. And to answer your question, so I've been with the company about 5 years. So it wasn't long in my journey that we started this work together, you and I. So fortunately, I didn't have to bear through the pre-PIM days for too long. But I don't want to focus too much on the negatives or the challenges. There was a lot of opportunity, to say the least. So, as you and Marissa highlighted initially, the lighting industry is not exclusively, but kind of uniquely burdened by all the product data points and information that you have to manage. And we were in that same boat. So we're a medium-sized company. We have a number of departments and employees that were busy kind of keeping track of product information, the engineering, the certifications, the data, the output, and then obviously communicating it with the outside world. And it was a challenge nonetheless. So anytime we had to make changes, we had to verify accuracy, we wanted to add new product, understand which attributes it shared with other products. Um, there was a lot of information hidden and used or stored in a lot of different places, different servers, different computers, different programs or applications. So just the day-to-day navigation of trying to understand, okay, where did we store that information? Where's the most current version? We made a change recently, and that change was communicated via email. Does anybody remember where that email came from, when it was sent? It was a challenge, so it wasn't pretty.
I mean, just to be clear, this isn't BK behind the curve. I mean, this is what most lighting manufacturers still look like today. I mean, I don't think many of the lighting manufacturers, unfortunately, went on with a PIM implementation. But you came into BK with 40 years of product history already in place. So it was my question is, how did that lead you to start looking for something different? Was there a specific moment, a breaking moment for you where like, okay, we have to find a solution? Do you have a clear memory like this?
Oh yeah, I recall it like it was yesterday. So I mean, I think this was mentioned in the ad for the webinar. So I came from um, firefighting industry and the wine industry, jumped into lighting. And both of those other companies also had rich legacies. So oddly enough, about 40 years for both of them. And I had never encountered anything like this and was not prepared for what I ran into with BK and the lighting industry specifically. So PIM wasn't even on my radar. These kind of needs or these challenges weren't really on my radar until I got involved. And I don't know, there was a specific instance where, just prior to starting the work in PIM, we have a sole individual that's our technical communication specialist. So they handle a lot of the documentation. And because everything was manually generated in PDFs, So he had spreadsheets and InDesign, and he would work and update everything when we needed to. He had gone through a long list of changes, and one of the this is probably not unique to us. We have a lot of attributes that are shared across hundreds, if not thousands, of products. So when you change one thing, oftentimes it affects lots of other things. And when you have dozens, hundreds of PDFs on the documentation for these products, when you make one minor change, you got to do it to all of them. So he had just spent weeks updating a particular change, and then we were faced shortly after with the reality that we might have to change it back or further alter it. And that would mean losing weeks worth of his dedicated time. And not only is that just a waste of resources, talk about a morale crusher. As he goes through all this work and has that sense of accomplishment and finishing it, moving on to other to-dos, now he's got to backtrack and redo all that work. And nobody wants to do that. But aside from that one story, I mean, that wasn't the only one. There was a number of instances. Again, anytime we had to make a change or a modification or verify information, we were confronted with this reality of trying to understand, okay, or find where do we get this information? Where is it stored? Where is the most current version of it? And then making sure that we're utilizing that. But the search for that information was an obstacle in itself.
You said the PIM didn't, land on your radar at the first place, but it did end up on your radar somehow, right? Can you talk about that reference? How did you figure out PIM might be the solution that you're looking for?
Yeah, it was almost like kind of like fate. I'm not going to name any names. He knows who he is. He's out there. So he's an executive in another lighting manufacturer. We have a great relationship with them. And he had actually come to visit our office and mentioned that he had just gone through this exercise of getting evolving onto a PIM and making that changeover and just kind of ranted and raved about it. Like, this is something you guys have to look into. It's a necessity. That we're 100% satisfied, and would encourage you to do so. So that's really what prompted us to actually take the initial steps. A year or two prior than that, we actually had one of our manufacturer representatives speak to me at a kind of social hour event, and he had also mentioned, not PIM specifically, but he's kind of on the cutting edge of technological advances. He kind of geeks out on that kind of stuff, and mentioned to us that, like, hey, you guys really need to look into some sort of database management for your
Mm.
website. So all the product data that you have that's on your website, it's managed in a database, and you make the changes in the database. If products share attributes, it's changed for all of them. So he didn't use the PIM word specifically, but essentially what he was describing was sales layer.
What you have now. Yeah. What you have now.
Yeah,
So,
fortunately.
I mean, of course, some of the questions I'm asking, but I know the answer because that the same person went through the same process with me and sales layer. So, he kind of put put us together, which was a good fortune on my end as well. But again, the decision was made, so the work started, and you ended up working with me in Turkey. So, how did that come together? How did it work day to day? I mean, obviously you had some doubts, which I might understand.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely had some doubts. So in my working career, it was not unusual to work with somebody that's remote, whether that's in the same state or across the country. And with technology nowadays, it's definitely a lot easier than it used to be. Um, but working with somebody internationally, especially in a time zone like where you're in Turkey, there's a concern. At some point, you're far enough away from where we're located that the day and night cycles start shifting. When I'm awake, you're asleep. When you're awake, I'm asleep. So not being just certain about that, the cadence of communication or how that flow is going to work and handoffs, I was concerned about the difficulty in that. But obviously in the initial communications with you, And the fact that you had done this exercise with this other lighting manufacturer, which is also in the States, was enough kind of encouragement or a proof point to go by to understand that this could work. And you had, I know initially in our early conversations, you had really pressed us on adopting some sort of project management tool to base our communication by, to store all the to-dos, because this is not an easy like lift.
Project.
It's involved, and there's a lot of communication and coordination and multiple parties and people, a lot of people, people's hands in the pot. And your suggestion and experience working with this specific project management tool, I think helped a lot. And it wasn't very long, again, partly because you had done this already, before the cadence was easy. We had our dedicated times, and of course, you were gracious enough to be flexible with us. I know you, even to this day, meet with us. It's 10 p.m. at night at your time. It's early morning for us, and you're more than willing to hop on a call and talk to us when we need it. But that project management tool, your flexibility, and just the nature of this project, surprisingly to me, seemed to work out very seamlessly.
Oh, thanks a lot for the kind words. Of course, the idea here, that's also a kind of a cultural change because we made this nearly exclusively in writing, asynchronized, meaning, we were in different time zone. Like the meeting was really the last resort. We were really writing to each other. Everybody was writing to each other, which I really believe helps with the project. But again, that challenge didn't stop there. So there was a 40-year backlog of inconsistencies in the product data. And we had to deal with it on the product, on the data structure side and the data entry side. So let's talk about these two parts. How did it go with this data structure, new inconsistencies, and the data entry point?
Yeah, I mean, so to give BK some credit, obviously this company was started before the internet was even a thing. And it started, organically with one product, and over the years and decades to come, they had worked to expand the product offering, obviously. And in the initial years, when you start off with one product, you start making modifications to that product. And their idea, their intention was to build out that product catalog, and to do so, when we make tweaks to the cap style or the mounting, it's not a modified product of that same name or family. We're going to call it something new. So it's a new product. Makes total sense at the beginning. Now, you evolve enough and adopt enough products, and that starts being a difficulty, both internally and externally. Years and years of not having a PIM and this progressive growth. We specialize in a lot of custom solutions. We also take customer feedback very seriously. So we're developing and iterating on product based on the requests that we're getting in. So we almost have like this living, breathing organism of product offerings that's growing, and there's roots that are intersecting with other products that share similarities, and then some go off in different directions. Um, so obviously it created the need for the PIM, even though we didn't know it until we started facing some of the challenges. And then when it came to understanding it and then developing the structure, I have to give you a lot of credit. I don't want to make this all about you, but like,
Thank you.
having somebody externally that's familiar with lighting and all the attributes and difficulties and obstacles, nuance and complexities of lighting, to be able to step back and look at our portfolio, which includes, I might say, 6 million product SKUs based on all the customization and attributes and configurations. It's not trivial. So your ability to kind of step back with us, take us with you, and look at an overall kind of high level picture of, okay, what does the fundamental structure need to be? Um, it was a lot of work, but it's necessary, and it worked out really well. And it's not an overnight process. So I mean, there's a fair amount of going back and forth, conversations. You're finding new attributes that may shift the structure. But because you're working in this kind of dynamic environment with a PIM, you can make those tweaks. You can make those changes, especially if you catch them early on. It makes life a whole lot easier. And we spent, I mean, months going through the structure. And then once the structure's laid, the data entry is pretty smooth.
Easy.
Like it's a lot of manual work, but the structure's laid out. So nobody has any questions necessarily or really what goes where or what it needs to be, what it needs to look like, or what the verbiage needs to be. You've created the structure. Everybody's just kind of putting in their pieces into that central location. And then it's just a matter of time before you start, everybody's comfortable with it. And then data entry starts picking up. And then before you know it, you have a fully fleshed out, project information management database at your disposal.
Also, I guess the fact that the data structure, when it's in place, then you see how big the data entry work is, because before that, you're not aware the complexity. Once it's the structured data, then you know the size
Yeah.
of the data entry is required here.
Yeah, well, and I think that's an important distinction. And I think one of the learning lessons for all of us at BK and potentially even you is, when we got into this, especially if you're at where we were at, it's really hard to put your finger on how many SKUs we have.
Yeah.
Or those deep crevices and cracks where there's some kind of oddity, configuration or product that exists. So going through that exercise to really have that understanding. And I think we definitely trivialized at first the amount of work that has to go into the structure, and then getting an understanding of all of the products that are included in that and what your real offering is. Like I said, it takes some work. Totally
Yeah.
worth it and necessary. But outside of a PIM, it's really difficult if you have any kind of product offering in the lighting industry to have a real understanding or grasp on everything that's included and what that even looks like to the outside world. And that's, at the end of the day, that's one of the most important aspects, if not the most important aspect. What does it look like to your customer base? When they're trying to navigate it and understand it and understand the similarities and differences between products, if you don't even know, how are they going to?
Okay.
Yeah, and it's still something we're working on because again, 6 million SKUs, I'll admit, even today, we're still making refinements and tweaks. And it's only because now we understand where we were at and based on their feedback that they've been really good about providing to us, that we're still making tweaks and shifts. And because of the PIM, we can make those adjustments overnight.
Um, I will speed up a little bit, seeing the time is a little bit on our side, shortened. So we talked about the data structure, data entry, and we had this development website story where this project started with a US-based development and web agency, and along the way we switched to a Spanish one. Tell us about that change and why we did it together.
Yeah, obviously one of the most, understanding your product offering internally is critically important. But as I mentioned before, how that's presented and shared with the outside world. For many of us, especially in the architectural specification grade market, the website's kind of your storefront. We don't have storefronts or showrooms. We don't have a brick and mortar shop. The website is it. So we knew that this was going to necessitate a pretty big change to the website. So we totally redid our website from ground up. And in the early stages, you had worked with the Spanish developer, had some experience with them, and was advocating for them. I hadn't worked with you yet. There was that dynamic of you being international and being a little uncertain. I had another web developer that I had worked with in the past. We've done really good work together, highly qualified. They do a lot of big projects and a lot of big brands. So I advocated to go with them on the web development side, and then obviously you on the PIM implementation. And for me, it sounds kind of silly to say, but they were almost like my safety blanket. Like if things go awry or this doesn't work out for whatever reason, at least I have somebody that I've worked with that I know that can try to bail us out or kind of point us in the right direction. They're a few hours away from us. I could drive down there if I had to talk to them. I had never worked on a PIM website with them. So PIM feeding the website all the product data. And that presented some challenges. So they didn't really have a ton, if any, PIM development experience. So just the workflow that a project like this requires, um, you mentioned asynchronous. There's a dynamic aspect of working on a PIM related website where as you're going through the strategic or the structure of the PIM, and building out all the product data, things are shifting, things are changing, and most typical traditional web agencies, you develop your scope, they build you out, the wireframes, you get a couple iterations, and
But that's it.
you're kind of locked in. That it doesn't work really well with this kind of project. So, long story short, we made the shift to the developer that you had recommended, which extremely familiar with sales layer, extremely familiar with PIM. I don't think there's a request we've sent them that they haven't been able to do. They work really well in the project management tool we're using. I think I've had to have one meeting with them in the year and a half we've been working with them. Everything else has been text-based, and they've executed extremely well.
I mean, here, the only thing that I want to underline, obviously, is the fact that PIM requires a different mindset, even on the coding side. It's a super flexible, super forgiving. That's something you said, and I like it. It's very forgiving. So we have to change things quite dynamically, and the mindset of the web agency should follow that. Otherwise, the PIM project will not be, successful as it's planned. And I want to go with the last two questions and then move to Marissa. Sorry about the timing. So eventually, let's talk about, finally, you have the PIM. We pushed the first real change, the first real bulk update after we went live. What was it like? Tell us about the afterworld.
It was surprisingly uneventful in a good way. So obviously we had been working together for a year and a half at that point. The developer and you were, I think like most workflows would necessitate, we had a beta site or a test site that we were seeing a lot of these changes happen on. So we could see a lot of that, and it was already kind of working. And when we went live, there was enough confidence or comfort in what I was seeing in the journey we had gone through already that I really didn't lose a whole lot of sleep. Um, I think most of it came on the like customer interaction side. So how, did we lay it out properly? Did we provide the right information? And, there was some feedback that we got because we changed a lot and it was a lot to digest. But the best part about that was because the PIM structure data entry implementation went fairly well and was uneventful, we could divert most of our attention to dealing with, the feedback that we were getting about changes and tweaks and modifications and additions. And because of the PIM and because the way the website was developed, we could start making those changes right away. And we're still working through some of those changes, but when you have a specific tweak, especially if it's in the PIM side, we can have an employee and it applies to 1,000 products, go in the PIM, make one change, the next day, the change is implemented on 1,000 products.
The beauty of having a PIM. So for a VP watching right now who are in the same situation, you were in their shoes back then. If they ask you, should I do this? What would you tell them?
100%. So whether you're in my shoes or not, so even if you're like a startup or early on in the lighting industry and you have 10 SKUs, do it now while it's easier, and you will save yourself a ton of work later. If you're more mature and you have a fully fledged product offering and it's even close to the size of ours, if not bigger, it's almost a requirement. I mean, nobody's going to force you to do it, but I will guarantee you it's only a matter of time that you get tired of spinning your wheels trying to keep up with product information. And ultimately, it's just the nature of the beast that will trickle out to the communication that's provided to the customer, and that will create complexities, and it will be a cost that is greater than the cost had you spent going down this journey and implementing a PIM. I will say, choosing the right platform is a big deal, but also having the right partners with you. So you have to make sure that you, just kind of as we mentioned with a developer, I would highly recommend you having somebody that's very familiar with the lighting industry, with sales layer and PIMs in general. I can't imagine doing it without them because this is a big ask, but it's 100% worth the investment. It's a guaranteed return. It's not an easy overnight change, but it's worth every penny.
I love what you're saying. I want to hang it on my wall, okay, before we hand it to Marisa, because she will show us some of the AI capabilities as there has, which can be built up on your foundation that you already done the work for. But do you have any kind of AI features that you're interested in or curious about?
I think like a lot of people, both in this space and other spaces, if I can assume, AI is changing so much and the capabilities are changing as well. So there's part of me that's also an audience member to this webinar. Now that we've done the work developing the PIM structure and we have that at our fingertips and the capabilities of AI being within our reach, I'm also curious what the capabilities are. There's general things like being able to do mass changes across different product families or find inconsistencies or fill in missing information. But I know that that's probably just scratching the surface, and I'm equally as curious about beyond that, what is AI going to allow us to do, and for the customers that we serve?
Thanks a lot,
Perfect.
Colin. I appreciate it. Now I'm leaving the words to Marisa. Marisa, take us to this AI journey, please.
All right, awesome. All right, so again, thanks, Colin, for being so transparent about some of the data challenges that you and your team faced. We hope that many on this webinar can resonate with some of those challenges, but then also understand that there is a solution to their current data problems. So let's talk about data. Structured data is no longer optional. It is the entry requirement. So many companies are excited about AI, but AI success depends on quality, consistency, and structure for the underlying data. So for lighting manufacturers, this means product attributes must be organized, technical fields need to be defined, product relationships need to be clear, images, documents, and specifications need to be connected to the right products. So without the structure, AI cannot reliably translate, enrich, categorize, validate, or publish product content. So AI readiness starts with catalog readiness. Okay, so let's talk about the fastest acquisition channel. So product discovery is changing. This slide shows one of the biggest shifts manufacturers and lighting brands need to prepare for. So this move from traditional SEO to AEO, answer engine optimization. So for years, acquisition has been driven by SEO. The goal was to rank on Google when someone searched for a short keyword phrase like LED warehouse lighting. That type of search is usually very brief, often just a few words, and it rewards keyword focused content. So that's coming from category pages, blog posts, and optimized product descriptions. But AI is going to behave very differently. So buyers are no longer just typing keywords. They're asking complete detailed questions. For example, I am looking for a best LED high bay lighting for a 500,000 square foot warehouse operating 24/7. Looking for low maintenance, energy efficiency, and smart control capability. So this means that AI tools need structured, complete, and reliable product data to recommend the right products for business. So they need to understand very tech heavy data. So the main takeaway here is that SEO is here so that buyers can find who you are, but AEO is here so that AI can ultimately evaluate all your product information and recommend your business and your product to the customer. So let me actually go back. So this is why our AI agents are so powerful, because now these hybrid marketers have much to do. So we've got these AI agents to help with the workload, to work in parallel around the clock. This is why we're an agentic PIM. So in a traditional workflow, many products have to go in, create tasks, create manual work, and they have to maybe get technical specs from the ERP or manually update data. They might have to write a product description. Someone else is fixing errors, translating content, applying business rules, right? A lot of manual repetitive work. With AI agents, many of these tasks can be automated or semi-automated in parallel. So ultimately, the workflow is a more automated, precise, and scalable solution. So this does not mean removing governance. It means automating repetitive work while keeping rules, approvals, and data quality in control. Now, we know that currently the space race, it's like the space race is like the AI race, right? So there are many businesses that might already be using or testing AI tools. So this is why our PIM can connect with your AI tools and business apps through the sales layer MCP server. So the sales layer provides two versions of the MCP server, depending on the level of control you need. You could choose read-only server or read-write server. So before I hop into the demo, I wanted to just quickly talk about all the capabilities of what our AI agents, what actions they can execute on. So these are the current actions AI agents can complete. But in today's demo, I'm going to show you how to create content, how to translate text fields, and how to add business rules. So the goal of the demo is to show how these concepts work in practice around structured product data, centralized management, and AI agents working on real catalog tasks. So perfect. Let me actually go to another tab. Let's hop into the sales layer PIM. So if you've never been in a PIM before, I'm just going to highlight some quick navigation. I just want you to understand a little bit of how the PIM works, and then I'm going to show you the AI agents in action. Okay, so I think the first thing you're going to notice regarding this PIM environment, we know that you guys are probably used to working in rows and columns. So everything is very clear, everything is very visual, definitely an easy tool to use, right? So in this product catalog, we have 221 products. We're currently seeing all products in the thumbnail view. So here you can see there's a lot of information in the thumbnail view. We've got this percentage that is tied to the quality report. This is measuring completeness and accuracy of fields and attributes. All products are in a different status. This is important specifically for giving agents rules. So only things that are in visible mode are being sent out of PIM automatically. Things that are in draft mode are things that are being worked on. And then maybe you're no longer selling this product, so you would just put it in invisible mode, but you want it there for repository reasons. Down here below, you can see that we've got variations, because here in the PIM, we can structure things through attribute sets. We can structure things with categories, subcategories, variants as well, right? So here I can see that this specific product has variants, but if I click on this view data sheet, I'm getting a quick snapshot of this product, the variations, and the specific information tied to this product. If I share this permalink with anyone inside the company or externally, they can view this product information, because again, the PIM is here to easily share product data. Another view is going to be the list view. So here you have the status, the product reference, product name, category reference, the attribute sets. I'm going to show you how I use tags. And again, you can always see there's a lot of governance in the PIM, so you can always see when something has been modified. And here we also have the Excel view, because we know that life before PIM is life in Excel. So here you can do bulk edits, right? You can drag and drop if you want, works just like in Excel. If I only want to work on certain columns, and I can say, I just want to work on basic information and technical specifications, or maybe not. I will just do this so you can see how columns change. I just wanted basic product information, and now I can do bulk edits. Okay. Now keep in mind, our PIM does have a digital asset management as well, right? Product content should be right alongside marketing content. You can drag and drop images. You can create folders, as you can see here. And also you can store any kind of file. So CAD files, technical drawings, PDFs, movie files, that's all available. And then lastly, each user is going to be able to have their role permission. So you can say who can edit, who can modify, and who can make changes. So this is important because the agents will only perform actions regarding what that user can do. Okay, so let's hop into the AI agents. I'm taking a look here at time, so I know how much time we've got left. So here we've got 3 agents, technically 4, but I'm going to be showing you 3 agents today. I've got these numbers before the names because you can set up agents to also do workflows as well. So if I hop into this rich content, we know that a lot of times for you guys, whenever you're getting data, there might be a lot of empty fields, right? So it's important to be able to create data before you send that to any of your sales channels. So I'm going to show you how I set up this agent. This agent specifically is running changes on the product level. You have to manually run this agent, but soon you'll be able to schedule agents so that every Monday it's doing work on data, or soon you'll be able to have agent automatically do things when things are being changed in the PIM. Like I mentioned before, all products are in 3 different statuses. So I'm saying that I only want to do changes to something in draft status. That's a best practice so that you get to approve things before things are actually implemented and sent out of PIM. I'm saying I only want it to work on tagged outdoor products, so outdoor lighting products. Then for the actions, this is where you really get to give that brand content. This is where you really get to be very specific on what you want the agent to do. In this case, I'm saying I don't have SEO description filled in, so I need help with that. I'm selecting exactly where I want it to pull the information from, right? So here I'm saying pull from technical specs, basic information, marketing content. You get to select where you want that information to come from. And down here below, you can see that I'm giving it specific prompts. As we know with the AI game, it's all about the prompt. So here I'm saying you are a senior prompt engineer with experience in lighting. I'm giving them specific instructions on what to do. I'm talking about the format, the link, the tone, no hallucinations. That's important to mention as well, right? So there you get to do the custom instructions. For the details, you get to choose the avatar, name the agent, say what it does. This is very important because this is the human element to agents. This is you reviewing any kind of change before something is applied. So let's go back to the agent and see what this agent was able to do. So if I go to this review changes, here you can see that it found 47 things to change. So if I go to this specific product, this is going to be, here we go. If I just go to one of these products like this one, and I want to show you the before. So let's hop back to the PIM. I can either go to my tagged lighting outdoor, or I can just throw the reference number in the search bar. It'll find this here. So if I go to my marketing content, here you can see I have no SEO description. So in this case, I'm going to select this specific product. I'm going to apply changes. Yes, I want to make a change to that product. And now all I have to do, if I go back to the product, I just have to refresh, go to my marketing content, and here you can see I have SEO-friendly description. Okay, so now let's talk about translations. So in this specific translation, what I did is I wanted to make sure that I was actually providing localization, and I wanted it to translate to a Mexican Spanish, right? Again, I gave more instructions here. And something that's important to talk about regarding the translations, we also have a list that's called the glossary. So again, we understand that sometimes there are things that you don't want changed or edited or translated. We don't want to translate these brands. We don't want to translate this specific, industry terms. So we have those glossaries there to be able to create some of those rules. So we talked about how we set it up. Now let's talk about the changes. So what this agent did is that it found 101 changes to be reviewed. What this is doing, it's looking at anything that's in a short text or long text. So here, this attribute, I've got material, and you can see it created a new value. I scroll down, here we have SEO description. It translated to Mexican Spanish. But let me show you the before and the after. So for this specific product, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to my product catalog. I didn't go to the tag. I'm just going to like the general product catalog. It's going to search the item. Here we go. We've got the product description right here. Here we have our translation bubble. You can see that I've got English in here. In this environment, I also have Chinese, German, Spanish. Translations haven't been done, Down here below, this is what I want it to translate, the Mexican Spanish, right? So for this product, I'm going to approve this change. I'm going to go up here and say apply changes. Yes, make that change. I go back to this product. I'm going to hit refresh. And here you can see, if I scroll down, it has been translated into a Mexican Spanish. All right. All right. And then lastly, so this is the business rule. And I'm actually going to run this agent in this demo. Okay. So I've set everything up. I want to talk about how I set up the business rule. So in this specific example, I'm saying, I want you to tell me if this product is weather resistant. So I'm saying if the IP is higher than 65, show me that it's weather resistant. And if it's not, tell me that it's not weather resistant. All right. So in this case, I'm going to go back. I'm going to manually run this agent. So let's give it a second to measure IP and then classify if it's actually weather resistant or not. So here you can see in this specific example, I'm assuming that this is going to be IP higher than 65 because it's showing that it is weather resistant. Here we can see that this product is not weather resistant. So in this example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this. I can select all, right? I can here select all, approve all selected. Before I actually make that change, I want you to see the before. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. I click into here, and then I click into the technical specs. What I'm doing here is I can see that this is 44 and below, right? So this is not going to be weather resistant. So here, this will be populated with the business rule. So I'm going to execute. All 33 items have been changed, as you can see. Apply changes. Changes are being applied. There we go. It completed changes. So now if I just refresh here, if I go to my lighting terms, you can see it just filled in that this is a non-weather resistant product. Perfect. Okay, great. And so these are the 3 agents that I wanted to show you guys. Hopefully with these agents, you can see that they're easy to set up, and you can see that they're really here to help you guys with your workload. Okay, so we're now actually going to spend time on question and answer. Feel free to scan this QR code as we're going through answering some of these questions in the chat. With this QR code, you can set up a 30-day free trial and get direct access to our agents so you can test them out yourself.
Marissa, can I help you with the questions? Like I can ask some of the questions to you. I would like to answer some of them myself. Or
Perfect.
the first one, can we use our own custom AI APIs, the ones that we train in-house? Sorry, can we do that, please?
Yep, absolutely. So with the MCP server, that's where you can connect with any of those AI tools. So that then any of the AI data is directly fed into PIM.
So another related question, you mentioned we can set rules, and we have seen it, like brand names shouldn't be translated, but how does sales layer handle these rules so that AI does not hallucinate? How do you handle those limitations?
Yeah, so I mean, I really think it just one is really getting good at in the prompts, ensuring that you're being very clear and specific with those prompts, making sure that you're adding in there no hallucinations, right? I didn't get to, I'm actually still sharing screen. So if I hop into one of these agents, you can actually see, sorry, let me go to review changes. This will give you a quality score. On the right side here, you can see that it's saying that this has a reliability of 95%. So again, every time that an action is done by an agent, you have that reliability score as well. And then, like I mentioned before, you always have that human element. So if you want to review anything before something goes live, you always have the ability to do that as well.
Cool. There are 2 questions. If you don't mind, I'm going to answer, or we can share answers together. One of them is from Abdul Kadir Sikdar. Thank you for the presentation. In this PIM system, can you upload multiple files given a set list of product codes simultaneously? Also schedule text file downloads for a set list of product codes, automates reports highlighting data quality issues. Does account registration allow internal super user accounts to control some aspects of the backend to set rules for custom data validation? Okay, I read it very fast, so it doesn't make sense, but basically, he's asking the bulk capabilities of uploading and downloading certain files that are linked to products, which is the basic of a PIM tool, especially a good one with sales layer. So as Marisa said, the digital asset management is already included in PIM. Can you show the files part, Marisa?
Of course.
And images part. So basically all the files that are linked to any of the product or the variants, including the images, they have their own space where we see them, how they are linked or how many files they are linked to. So it means if you change this part, all the links that are attached to it will be changed as well. This is the beauty of a connected, a PIM and DOM system together. The second question was, can we have a schedule to take file downloads for a list of product codes? Can you go to the channels, please, Marisa?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, channels is how you import data and export data. For that specific question, if you have a set of technical files for outdoor products with certain tags and with certain information, you can easily create one link which will always be up to date. And when you share it outside of the world, they can click on it and get the latest version without asking you afterwards. So that's, again, a feature that PIM and DOM together has. He was asking about, is there reports highlighting data quality issues? We have the quality report part. You can specify exactly which table you're looking for, what is the data level that you're looking for. You can really make sure exactly finding the right information for that report. So saying that's possible. And lastly, he was asking if there's a super user account who controls who can do what. And that part, Marisa already showed with this manage user part. That means you have a super account, a super user who might define exactly, let's say Colin cannot touch the technical part and Marisa can change certain images really down to each field. We can define who can do what. And for each field, we can define custom data validation. So to make sure that field will only have what it's required to have. Going to the second question, Angelo Rodriguez. For technical departments wanting easier access to locate for the most up-to-date records, drawing, schematics, is that possible with this system to set up? Purpose for this is to locate replacement parts quicker and easier instead of manually searching. We did that already with BK Lighting. It means the replacement parts are attached to each family, so that replacement parts already on the website, only accessible through the login process. So BK Lighting's reps, distributors can reach to it, but not everybody. So having an answer, yes, it's very possible. That's, again, the beauty of the PIM. There's a question, can we see the QR code again, which is a good one, so that they can, check.
Perfect. I think those are all.
Else? Yeah, so far, I mean, it is done, but I'm happy to wait if there are more.
And again, so keep in mind, we will be sending the recording. So always feel free to reach out to us individually as well if needed. But overall, I hope that, yeah.
Maybe Marisa, sorry to again disturb, but you might talk about the proof of concept that SalesLayer has, which is a free service. Basically, they can get in touch with SalesLayer, and you can get a proof of concept which is like taking your data, putting in sales layer, and showing what is possible. So that
Yep.
is something that you can easily do if you're interested in PIM and the benefits that it will bring.
Yeah, and not just that. So, we're now working many years in the PIM vendor space. Something that I know makes us competitive is we're really transparent throughout the whole pre-sales cycle, right? So we not only take the time to have a solution, look through your data, throw it in our PIM, talk about your data in our PIM and what would be a best practice on how to do data modeling. But then we give you direct access to that environment so that you can test our tool for 30 days along with these AI agents or the MCP server, right? So again, we let you test drive before you buy anything. There should be no surprises once you get to the end, once you decide that our tool is a solution for you. So we absolutely give you the ability to try things out, test our tool, so you can really have the same confidence that we have. Perfect.
So I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Marissa. Thanks a lot, Colin. I have to leave you the word to close it, to be honest. You're the host. Sorry.
All right. So, so thanks everyone for the time. We hope that you found this productive. And so we are here to help you with the PIM journey and the AI journey, because again, we are all learning together. So have a great day and looking forward to keeping the conversation going. Bye. Thanks, everybody.